Welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast, featuring Anthony, Chris, John, Sean, and Mark. This is a weekly podcast where five guys come together to make the ultimate conversational pie about the games they are currently playing.
All right, welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast. I'm Chris. Joining me today is Mark,
Howdy.
Anthony,
Yo.
and John.
Mm-hmm. Hi.
Sean couldn't join us today. He got early screening tickets to Sonic 4. Like the movie they made 2 years from now. He somehow got advance tickets to that.
It's gotta be fast.
Yeah, it's gotta be fast.
They're quantum movie theaters.
All right. So first up, I feel weird having this as a topic, because truth be told, like this game came out a month ago, and I honestly only put like an hour or 2 hours into it, but I do feel the need to talk about it, and it's Dragon Age Veilguard. And to be fair, I want to play more of it, but that Call of Duty grind has just made me ignore everything else. But so I will say like my initial thoughts on Veilguard so far. The gameplay is very, very fluid. It's more Mass Effect than it is Dragon Age when it comes to the gameplay. A lot more action packed, and if you remember from Mass Effect, it has like that like when you pull up like that menu and it's basically got your team abilities where you can like request your teams to do certain things. It has like pretty much exactly that for your teammates, because in this game you're strictly playing as yourself. You can't control any of your teammates. The only control you have is like commanding them to do their specific abilities. When I went to play it first, I was like, I'll try the Sorcerer because I had a really fun time in Baldur's Gate 3 playing the Sorcerer. So I was like, yeah, I'll give that a go. And within 30 minutes, I'm like, nah, no, I can't do this. And I looked into it. Unfortunately, this is one of those games where you can't change at any point what you choose. Like, you have to make a new character. So I didn't want to invest more time in the hopes of I do enjoy the sorcerer character. I was just like, I'm just gonna make a new character and play as the warrior. So I sunk about like an hour and a half into that. Warrior's super fun. I know I've talked to this about before, but like my favorite moment was going from the sorcerer and being like, if this is the ranged attack button, what is it for like the warrior? And finding out it's basically the Captain America shield, where you just whip it and it comes back to you. That I was just like, okay, that's fucking sick as fuck. Yeah, not invested in the story from what it played so far. It's honestly just that gameplay loop that's kind of making me want to go play it some more, but which is kind of a bummer to say considering how much I loved Dragon Age 1 and 2 like for their story, but I don't know, I just didn't really get its hooks into me within the first hour and a half, but that could change when I invest more time into it. And one more thing before I throw it to one of you. Game is fucking beautiful. Like the graphics actually look really, really good. There have been like some moments where like exploring these locations and it's just stunning. Like, yeah. One thing for sure, like the gameplay and the visuals are probably like the standout for these games so far. That being said, Mark, what are your thoughts on Dragon Age of the Veilguard? Has it interested in you, or do you have?
I have seen some of the gameplay clips, and like the gameplay does look pretty decent, but hearing from you that the story isn't very engaging, because like I don't think I played the second Dragon Age a bunch, but I did play the first one quite a bit, and like I was just saying, like the story is one of the main things that drew me in. I did have fun with the game as well, but like having that story on there as like with the fun gameplay really sold it for me. But hearing that the story is kind of meh, like I have seen some clips of like people kind of talking about the story and stuff like that, and it did turn me off of wanting to play it. But I mean, like people on the internet are always usually biased in extreme of one direction or another. So like I know it is something you kind of have to experience for yourself. But for me, I don't think this is a game that I like. I'm definitely going to wait for either to jump onto the catalog or 'cause I can imagine that one probably in like a handful of months will probably be on there, or just a really big sale and I have nothing else to play. Which like if it was on a really big sale right now, I probably would because like I don't have anything else that's really pulling me to play it. But but like a solid gameplay is good. But like as I experienced with what was that samurai game you played a while ago?
Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah, the gameplay was really fun, but like once the gameplay got kind of tedious, there wasn't anything keeping me into the game. So like the moment it got to the tedium and then I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take a break with this other game. I never picked the game back up again because like I wasn't invested into figuring out what happened next. Cause like I just got to the point where I'm like, I'm just skipping every cutscene, trying to get to the next part, clear out the next map, and then like going to the next area. So it not having that strong of a story definitely is a negative for me. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll play it and like I will be invested in it. But that's definitely going to be a waiting thing for me because I know like a lot of people online you can't believe all the reviews you hear, but sometimes there's some truth behind some of the reviewers, be biased or not. So yeah, that for me that's definitely on the back burner. Maybe one day I'll play it. Maybe one day I won't. But I know next month there's a new game coming out. Which okay, it is next month. Never mind. So the new Fairy Tale game's coming out in 12 days. So that's definitely got my mindset on it. So
And then we do have Rivals coming up this week too. So,
yes.
Anthony, how about you?
Not particularly interested, no. Like a few of the online sources that I follow for like gaming news and reviews and such that I kind of put weight into like like I take what they say seriously because either our interests align or they've just kind of shown that they're not like what do you call it? Uh, they don't do like access journalism. You know what I mean? Um, and most of them were not too hot on this game. Um, and the things they talked about within the game just kind of like, yeah, like I'm not spending $90 or $100, I guess, Canadian now, but or I think was it 89.99?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 89.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really like, what am I getting for the price? And that's kind of how I usually am. And from what it sounds like, I'm not going to get what I pay for. So it's not that I'm fully out, like Mark was saying. Just the way the reviews kind of went and the discourse around the game and kind of the projected sales that the game might have did, it's pretty likely it'll end up on some services at like sooner rather than later. So if I'm still subscribed to PS Plus Extra and it comes to it, I'll probably download it and give it a fair try. But yeah, $90 to try a game that I already kind of think I'm not gonna stick with, it's not worth it, you know.
No, that's totally fair. And truth be told, um, I would be surprised with like if like 6 months from now it hasn't hit PlayStation Plus. No offense to the game, but yeah, like I feel like that's a pretty good estimate of a window of like when we could definitely see it. Especially if like what you said, Anthony, like not I don't think it's selling that well, or at least as to what they expected,
But
where
and like to be fair, like I'm generally the kind of guy like where I don't play games because of their story. Like I'm it's like a 90-10 split on gameplay versus story for reasons. So from what you're saying, there is potential that I will enjoy my time with it. Um, but it's just a big if, and I just don't want to spend money on ifs, you know. So hopefully it does come sooner rather than later because like you're saying, for PS5 it being looking really good. Like I am interested in that. So yeah.
John, how about you?
Yeah, I'm actually interested in Veilguard. Um, I really thought about it, and the reason that I couldn't get into um Dragon Age Inquisition was because the open world was super empty and super boring. Like, and the story wasn't all that great either. Gameplay wise, like it was good, but those things kind of turned me like I haven't finished the game. I bought it twice, like when it was like $10. You know, I bought it on PlayStation, I bought it on PC. Veilguard strays away from that open world, which I feel like would kind of pace it up a little bit. Apart from me like running around the map looking for like different like craftable materials and like hitting every single like spot on the map to make sure I got all of the map markers done. And I think I prefer Dragon Age as like a just area. Um from what I've seen, like the graphics look great. I wasn't expecting much just because they're kind of cartoony. Like I was kind of just expecting like meh, okay. But I've seen like the hair physics and everything, and honestly, like it looks good. It looks up to standard. Like, yeah, I think at some point I will give it a go. Um, yeah, no, definitely interested in this one.
Just to warn you, John, there is no boob slider in it.
Okay, I changed my mind.
Most important sliders.
I revoke everything I just said.
Oh, yeah. As to what you said, that was one of the things that interested me as well, is the fact that it was an open world. Because with Inquisition, I think that was like a turn off for me. Like, I tried. I think I only put a couple of hours into Inquisition, and I just didn't vibe with it. But for comparison, from my early, like my hour and a half, 2 hours of playtime, it reminds me a lot of Marvel Midnight Suns. You have your basic like hub area where you can talk to your teammates, and then you go to like your like portal thing, and it loads you into like your instance for a mission. And I kind of like that format. It There's a lot less like FOMO of like having to check every corner and like, oh, am I gonna fucking miss something? Do I have to go wander off? So I do appreciate the fact they didn't go open world for this one, for sure. All right. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Boob slider.
All right.
For real.
Speaking of a game, or speaking of boob slider, I imagine this game has that. Final Fantasy 14.
Yes.
John, you've been playing it. How's it going?
It's good. I recently got the new expansion. I kind of worked my way through the end game of Endwalker, which was fun, tedious, especially because most of it I left about halfway through it, so I had to go back a year later, remember how to do my job, and still somehow make it through without being super stressed out and giving up and stuff. So I managed to do that. I managed to relearn all my skills and my rotations and such. Tried out a new class, Pictomancer, which is fun. It's magic range DPS, which is interesting. Like you paint pictures. There's 3 different types of pictures at level 80. I think there's more later on, but and each of them has like a separate skill towards them, and it like levels up uh as you like use these skills. So like you'll use like the palm skill, which will level up into the wing skill, which will level up into I think it's called something to do with a Moogle. But it gets progressively more useful too. Like whereas it's all AoE, it's all multi-target, but the last one is like a straight shot in a straight line through the enemies, which is really cool and really weird for a magic user in this game. Um, so far, I'm digging the expansion. not as good as I thought it would be. Um, the areas look cool, like this area here. That's pretty cool. Like, look at that. But the music is kind of okay. The first dungeon I played was kind of easy by standards of like where the game is now. Like a little too easy in my opinion. I'm hoping it like ramps up a lot because if it's all going to be like relatively easy, I don't think I want to continue too much with it. Um, but yeah, it's a good game. Still one of my personal favorites, and hopefully, hopefully I can continue with it and maybe enjoy the expansion a little bit more.
One question I have for you before I throw it to Anthony. I think it was, and Anthony might be able to refresh my memory on this too. Because we both listen to Summon Sign, and Brad's a big Final Fantasy 14 guy, and I think he was saying the fan base seemed to be kind of like underwhelmed with the latest expansion. I believe.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
They have been, yeah. But
Okay.
if you think about it, it's a new like story arc, whereas everything ended like everything from A Realm Reborn up until Endwalker ended with Endwalker. So this is a new story, like same characters and stuff, but it's a new arc. So I'm imagining like this will be the start of maybe a couple more expansions and it'll start ramping up because the story in A Realm Reborn like was okay. Like it got good by the end, but like it wasn't amazing. But by Endwalker, like the story gets crazy and good. So um yeah, like I said, I think this is just like the beginning, like introduction to a new like story arc. So I feel like it'll get better. I feel like it.
Nice. Okay, that's fair. Anthony, how about you? You've gotten back into the Final Fantasy 14 mode. How's that going?
Yeah, I'm just getting my footing. I spent the other night when I resubscribed, I jumped on. I wasn't on long. I was only on for like 30 minutes, and I spent the whole time at the attack dummies, just like doing my like my spell rotations to try and like refamiliarize myself. Because like at the time I was max level. I was like halfway through the post Endwalker content, so like I was in the thick of the end game for the most part. And then I'm just a year later or something, I'm jumping right back into it. I'm like, luckily I'm playing Summoner, which is arguably the easiest rotation. So it didn't take me too long to get it down. I still am rusty, but John and I just did a trial for my main story quest or main scenario quest, whatever it stands for, and it was a little rough. I think I died like twice, but it was a bit hectic. It's funny though because I just watched a video for the dungeon I got to do, and it's like the bosses in this dungeon look like nothing compared to like this trial boss I had to do just before this dungeon. So it's like all over the place. But yeah, I got lots of plans. I'm thinking about what I want to do. I want to try out that Pictomancer class. I want to get through the Endwalker post content so I can start the new DLC. Um, and everything went from level 90 to 100. So anything I had before, like our crafting and gathering classes, they went up. I can't wait to look at the new gear. It's gonna be sweet. Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I really want to get it back into. I really enjoyed grinding for different mounts, like, and there's so many, right? Like, and there's tons you can do solo because there's like old content that used to be group content, but because of the level you can like load in uncapped and still grind them. So I could be like level 100 doing a level 60 trial boss kind of thing. So I'll probably be going back into those. Can't wait to go fishing again now that the max level's raised from 90 to 100. Because there wasn't really anything to chase fishing wise. I mean, I think there's some mounts related to it, but once I hit 90, it was like I only did it if I needed to make money or use it for other stuff. But now there's like an actual reason because there's levels to be had. So, and there's this mini game John and I used to do all the time. It was really fun. Um, but yeah, I just picked up the DLC today, so I don't have access to it because I have to the way this game works. I think we talked about it before, but you can't just like make a character and play the new DLC. Like you have to play through everything consecutively. Uh, so luckily I'm not too far from where I left off. And yeah, I got to make some money because I'm gonna have to buy some gear I think soon. But it's been interesting. I got like it's just adjustment because I have to dust off all the rust, like to be able to handle this end game shit. But I wonder, John, do you know if they like how there's like uh that one DLC had like Eureka, and then there was that other one with like Boson or whatever it was called. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, like basically like mini games.
Yeah. Do you know what kind of content like, or maybe is there a new deep dive dungeon or whatever?
They haven't announced anything yet.
No.
No, I think they just released. I think it's the first like post game patch update.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there's still
Yeah.
lots to come then.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll look forward to that too, because a lot of that kind of content is what I did end up spending most of my time doing. Like John and I did a bunch of deep dive in the first deep dive dungeon. I know you did a lot of the second one. I didn't do too much. I did some of it with you, but not as much. And then you and I spent tons of time in that boat. I can't remember how it's what it's called. I think it's like
Bosjan or Bojan or something.
Bosjan, yeah,
Yeah.
that Bosjan zone. I even tried going back to the Eureka one to try that one out, but it was tough. Bosjan I thought was much easier.
It kind of sucks because not a lot of people are doing those deep dungeons right now.
Oh
And
yeah,
like
you were saying that.
yeah, that was our way to like grind our lower level jobs. So I'm hoping once the content kind of like ramps down a little bit, like those will get a little more populated.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you play through the MSQ, like the quests generally give like huge XP payouts. So you level like your main as you do it. But once you finish the MSQ, you can't redo it. So what we would do is when we switched to a new class to level, we would hit up these deep dive dungeons and it was like really good XP. But like John's saying, it sounds like it's not the go-to way anymore since no one's really doing it. I don't want to do PvP. If I might have
It's
to.
not bad.
What? Anthony not want to do PvP? Crazy.
It's not as competitive as you'd think.
It's still
I'm just,
PvP.
if you get XP for just completing the matches, then I'll just run in and die. And just call it a day.
Leroy Jenkins it, I respect it.
Or at least do my group buff. It gives everyone like 10% damage buff for like 15 seconds. I'll run in, pop that, and just die.
All right, Mark. I know this isn't something you haven't messed with, but where are you at right now, like mentally, like with Final Fantasy 14? Is it like something you've been eyeing?
I mean, like, I wouldn't mind playing it. I do mind having to subscribe to play it. Because, like, I know for a fact, like, I won't be able to stick with it for an insanely long amount of time. And I'm saving all of my MMO energy for the what was the game that was announced? Like,
Oh,
yeah, John knows what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah.
That one I'm very looking forward to.
What? I
I
gotta know
played
what game you're talking about.
No, no.
yeah, I can't remember. It was like honestly, like I played. I'm pretty sure you might have played it with me. There's one of the ones where you could do a bunch of. I want to say Arc something, but I don't. It definitely wasn't that.
That
It was
sounds
just
right.
an announced.
Arcade.
It like in the last PlayStation showcase. It's one of the games we talked about a bit.
Was
I
it?
remember it's like in it, like it had a very unique class system. It has like you can pick 3 classes at a time, and then like those 3 classes make like your actual class.
Arcade 2?
Arcade, there we go.
Yes.
I knew it had the word arc in it. Yeah, it's not called Arcade 2, it's called Arcade something else, but it is the
Oh,
second
Arcade
one to
Chronicles.
that. Yes.
Okay.
So when I saw that was coming out, that one right there immediately interested me because I had so much fun in the first one. But yeah, like I do enjoy MMOs, but like I have to have a group I can consistently play with all the time, or else I get so bored. I know that you're playing it and stuff like that, but like we are on different schedules throughout the week. So
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
not like, oh yeah, hop on at 1 a.m. after work and we'll grind out a couple of hours. That's not really an option
I'll
for
quit my
you,
job.
Anthony, maybe when he's on his afternoon shift. But yeah, like when that one comes out, I'm definitely going to be playing it. We can make time on the weekends to crush it.
Yeah, and the problem with this one too, problem it's subjective, I would say, but I'll just use that word. The problem with this one is like you wouldn't be able to necessarily just jump in and do shit with us because you have to play each expansion through in order.
Yeah.
So you're locked out of a lot of stuff. And it takes I couldn't I'm just guesstimating how long it took me, but it could have been like well over 100 hours to get from Realm Reborn to Endwalker.
And for me, that just doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
Like I have to put 100 hours in just to get to the new fun stuff.
Well, no,
I'm good.
don't say new fun stuff because a
I,
lot of the old
I
stuff
I'm
is fun.
I'm sure the old fun stuff is still fun, but as he said, you guys are doing the new fun stuff.
Yeah, I still do the old fun stuff once in a while.
But yeah, it's just like it. Like my brother played the hell out of that game, and like it did look fun. It's just MMOs like are very iffy for me. The Arcade one coming out on PlayStation, that works for me because I own a PlayStation, and it's my main form of playing. Easy transition to get to playing it. I
Well,
don't have
I
to
know
make sure.
not that this would change your mind, but I purely play on PlayStation for Final
Oh,
Fantasy.
forgot that this one is on PlayStation. Do you still have to subscribe to it
You
for like?
do,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like
that's still
the
out.
cheap option after taxes is like $18 and something.
I have enough subscriptions right now. I'm good.
Yeah, that's fair.
did Mark freeze for anybody else, or was that
oh,
just me?
he froze for a second. Yeah,
Okay, all right, okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just like my computer alone. It's just probably like the internet being weird for it. All right. Yeah, for Final Fantasy 14. Uh, yeah, I wanted to give it a go a while back, but then we've discussed this before. That free trial, like for the life of me, would not work for me, and I could not justify paying like the subscription fee. And like to even what Mark said, where like he's finicky when it comes to MMORPGs, I'm even more finicky. I find to get me hooked into them, it's got to be very heavy action MMORPG, like kind of like fluid gameplay that kind of keeps me coming back for more. But I respect this game and I respect the audience it's built up. It's just like Destiny, right? It's like it has that core fan base that just like stays with it and is there for every expansion, and it just continues to evolve. Like I respect the work that the developers put into these games. It's very cool, but yeah, it's not for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like I wouldn't expect you to even bother trying this game, Chris, but if for some reason you were like in the mood for an MMO that you just wanted to try, that Throne of Liberty one that just came out on PlayStation 5 today, I just played it for a bit this morning, and first of all, it's Unreal Engine 5, I assume, so like it looks great, and the combat was a little more, what would you call it, like punchy, like more in line with what you're talking about. I wouldn't say it's like full on like you're playing something like God of War or Black Myth Wukong type action combat, but definitely different from like a more typical MMO type combat. But yeah, I wouldn't expect you to go try it. I'm just saying it's like free to play. So if you're ever in like a lull and you were like, I want to try something, it's always an option.
What was it called again?
Throne in
Throne in
Liberty.
Liberty.
Yeah, I just took a peek because I was kind of curious if it had any like pro enhancements yet, but it doesn't seem to be one of the games where they specifically
That's
tuned it.
lame.
But
That's lame because it just came out on PlayStation today. You think that would have been like a great like market push for
well, like
them.
I saw like people said it looks and performs better, but like it's not like one of the ones that specifically like got like a major update for it to work with the new PSSSR, I think they
Yeah.
call it. But I'll keep that in mind. The unfortunate thing too right now that prevents me from wanting to even get into like an MMORPG is I came to the realization, and we'll get more into this later and like to shoot the shit, but like my goal was to try to hit 100 platinums this year. I'm still sitting at 94. Like Call of Duty fucked me really hard. Like the last like month and a half, it was just like all that, and then now Rivals is coming out, so that's also so it's like 100 ain't happening now, but yeah, it's the time outside of these games I definitely want to put toward trying to get some more platinums. Plus Silent Hill also fucked me kind of hard because fucking demanding 7 playthroughs to try to get a platinum. Come
It's crazy.
on. Any final thoughts on Final
Illegal.
Fantasy before we move on?
No.
It's got boob sliders.
Nope, but I did just put Throne and Liberty into my download queue. I'll try it out.
Yeah, check it out, man. It's not too bad. Although be prepared that when you first make your character, if you make a guy character, there's like a decent chance that you might have a girl's voice for some reason.
Just make a badass female character, whatever.
There's no boob slider though.
All right.
I'll make do.
Apparently there was, and they removed it before release for the Western audience because
What the Western
audiences are
wants that.
soft.
they are. Man. They're ruining gaming for me.
Well, it's good they removed it because they want them to be soft. They don't want them to be hard. But
Oh man.
all right.
Yeah, Chris.
Next up, Mark, you got the platinum for a game called Farmagia. How was that
Yeah.
experience?
Honestly, the game was fun. It was simple, like a very easy to go through game. I found myself wondering a lot of the times because like each dungeon run they give you like 40 to 30 minutes to get through it, and I found myself wondering who the fuck runs out of time in these things because they are so easy. I mean, I'm sure if you put the difficulty up, maybe it would take a little bit longer, but like it was not a hard game at all. Yeah, it only took me about 45 hours to get through it. And it was a very, very nice experience. The story was pretty good. Yeah, overall, it was a nice, easy game. Like, it's definitely not a game for everybody, but for just mindless, shut your brain off, go in and run in, especially because it was also made by the people who made Fairy Tail, so I had to get it. But yeah, like the how the gameplay works is like so your character is like something called a Farmagia, and like you grow monsters and you use them to fight. So like you have 4 different types of monsters you can bring in. There's main attack type, ranged, a debuff and buffing type. So like you can only bring like one specific type of each of those monsters in, but like you have a party of 40, so then like you scale the numbers however you want. So like for my parties I usually did 15 attackers, 12 ranged, like 10 of the 8 of the 8 of the support and 5 debuff, and like that pretty much covered all my bases for everything. And then like as you're going through, like you can combine your monsters into like a bigger one to do like one big attack on guys, and you unlock different ones by when you kill other monsters, and like they always have a chance to drop seeds, but then if you kill them in a specific way then it has a higher chance. And once you grow 3 of them in your farm, then you can use them as like the monster combination form and unlocks like different attacks and speeds and stuff like that. So like then it goes like slow, medium, and fast, and like that's how fast they recharge. So it's like it's a nice little balancing system, just trying to like get everything through. The dungeons move pretty fluidly. It's just like you start here, you run into the room, monsters spawn in, you kill them all, and then you get like a reward at the end of it. You can either choose like items or fairies, or some of the dungeons have both. And then like the fairies buff you for that dungeon run. So like it's kind of like a roguelike in some things, but like it's only like the buffs during that dungeon you lose. So it's like when you get your stronger monsters, you don't lose them after the dungeon unless they die in it. But then if they die, you just grow more. So yeah, like it was a pretty fun game. Even the platinum grind wasn't that tedious. It like the most tedious part was just going back and finding some of the monsters that I didn't fully farm out in the dungeons because like they had a lower percent chance of spawning. But even those with the RNG was not that bad. Cause like pretty much like I found out like, oh, this guy spawns on the second room in this dungeon. So I would just start it, run through the first room as fast as possible, hopefully get like a double drops thing from one of the fairy things, get into the second room. If they didn't immediately spawn, back out of the dungeon, go back in, so on and so forth. But yeah, just a nice, pleasant experience. The art style was pretty decent. It's like it was up the fairy tale style art. Overall, yeah, a nice game. Not for everybody, but for the people who like that sort of thing, it's a great way to kill 40 plus hours.
Nice. Anthony, did you play this game?
No, I did look up, like I watched some trailers and gameplay for it, and it does look pretty cool. Something I think I could get into. Um, but I just it was a bit too pricey for me for what it was. So it is on my wish list though. Like I do plan on grabbing it. Actually, I haven't even checked if it was on sale right now, which I might do. But
It just came out, so I
oh, okay, then yeah,
don't
probably not.
think it will. Yeah, I think it came out like not even a month ago.
Okay, well then yeah, I think probably whatever the next big sale season will be, maybe like coming into spring, I'll probably pick it up. Because it does look like some like how long was the platinum for you, like hour wise? Would you say
45 hours.
45? Yeah, and I'm usually not a
Yeah,
platinum guy, which means I could probably spend some time, what, 25 hours, maybe
yeah.
30 hours to do the whole game. So,
Yeah, like, and
something
honestly, if you just skipped all the like talking and cutscenes and stuff like that, you could cut off like another 5, 6 hours.
nice.
I could see I like the Boxing Day sales are around the corner, and that's like 2 months out from release. I could see a sale hitting that point more often than because
That wouldn't be strange to see a sale for it at that time.
yeah, because like
Especially
even
with it
Call of
not
Duty
being
went on
like,
sale already.
oh, okay, yeah, that's because it's like, it's not like it's like one of the premier games of the year type thing, right? Because you have some games that came out 6 months ago that we won't even see on sale. But it being, probably like a smaller studio, a more niche game, who knows?
Yeah, you never know. It could be, and then you get games like Avatar where it's like, oh, you've been out 2 weeks, 50% off.
Did you see the debacle about the DLC?
Oh no.
Oh my God. So just tangent real quick. They released the DLC for it, right? And apparently a ton of people, when they went back to their game and they didn't own the DLC, their save file said underneath it, it was like a printed text saying, you need to buy the DLC to play. So people got locked out of
Oh,
their game unless they bought the DLC.
Oh
And
my
then people were
god.
like messaging, opening up support tickets about it. And they would get a response saying, like, acknowledging their situation, and then they would just close their support ticket. So, like,
we understand you're having this problem. Have a good day.
yeah, I was
Jesus.
like, what the hell?
Man, there was a time where like I gave that game like an hour or two worth of a try, and I was gonna go for the platinum. But like if I was like playing that game now, going for the platinum, and I got hit with that shit, I've been so pissed off. I probably would have
Yeah,
bought the DLC to get the platinum, but I would have been pissed off because I'm that type of
I
person.
wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
yeah. They didn't confirm like if you were in this after like post this issue. I didn't see any confirmation that if you started a new save, if it would still lock you out, or if it was just like existing saves. But either way, like it's still pretty bad.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, that's not good.
All right, John, does this game interest you?
I do like farming games, so I would think so. Like Stardew Valley is one of my favorite games too. So, um, I did. I didn't see much from this game. I think I watched like a short trailer on Steam or something. If was it on Steam or was it on PlayStation? I can't remember. But it looks like you can like take your crops into battle or something. Like
Yeah, so
that's
you grow your monsters to fight. So like once you unlock the seed for that monster, then like you grow it in your farm, and then like you have a little skill tree thing that they're called research buddies, all the other monsters. So like you can get 3 points from each one. You get 1 point for growing like a single one. Once you grow three, you unlock all the research points, and then the fusion form of that for your battle buddies, and then you can like upgrade them to like higher forms, or like it goes like the next one is like they're more tough, and then the next one is like they're really good at their specific thing, and the third form is they're really tough and they're really good at their specific thing. So then like you grow them, and then you form your teams, and you go into battle.
yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. It might be a sale game for me, but yeah, I that's something I could see myself getting into for sure.
Yeah, as for me, I only have one question: is there a snake?
I thought it was yeah, I thought he was gonna ask if there was a boob slider.
No, I was saving that for Anthony, but he forgot to ask.
Let's see. I don't think there's any snakes,
For that
which
reason,
is
I'm out.
weird now that I think about it. Yeah, no, I don't think there was any snakes.
Yeah, I pulled up like the game on the PlayStation app, and I just saw the art, and I was like, "Oh, these like monsters are cool." And I'm like, "Is there? If there was a snake, I 100% would have added this to my wish list." But you lost me.
Yeah, for like your attack buddies, you get the first one is like little wolf guys. The second one you get are roosters, and the third one are little griffins. Then for your range, they're little like floating scythe monsters, little dragons, and I honestly don't even know what the third one is. I never used it once I got the little dragons. That's all I used. Then yeah, I only really remember the ones that I used for the other two. Uh, they were these little. Geez, my mind is blanking so hard right now. My ADHD is just going off the wall. Well, so the little frog guys, and then I can't remember what the support buddy was. Oh, they're these three little puffs. That's what it is. Like think of like dandelion puffs. That's basically what they are.
I know griffins are like well-known creatures, but in my mind, when you say these little griffins, I picture our buddy Griffin, just really small and multiple of them, just running around as
No,
monsters.
Running around,
no, they're not
throwing,
like that.
throwing pocket nuggets at people.
We're going off side quests to strip clubs, just all of a sudden it's
Oh
gone.
man.
All right. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No, all I could think
No
about
siree bad.
is Mini Griffin now.
All right. Next up, we have a game we've all been playing, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I'll let Anthony start us off on this one. One of the things I was surprised about, Anthony, and I'll like to kick it off to you. I never would have guessed that you would have paid money to buy packs in this game, but you did.
Well, I did, yeah. It spoke to me. It was like a green dragon, flames. I like dragons and I like green. So, and to be honest, cosmetics is a huge part of most games I play, and I'm not gonna lie, like all the operators in that game, I just did not give a fuck about. Like I didn't have no attachment to them. I didn't play through the whole campaign. No idea who they are. I know there's like factions, whatever, but I know they're kind of limited to one faction. The skins are like they're skins of operators, right? It's not like a new character, so. But and then I had enough currency left over to get the pass, so I'm like, why not? Might as well just grab it. I don't play often, but the rate that it goes, like I'm pretty sure I'll finish the season pass before the season ends. So, but it's been all right. I'm at the point with it where like the drive to play, like the unlocks and like the reward system from playing. Keep in mind, I'm talking zombies because I don't play pretty much anything else on it. It's not as rewarding as other similar games I would play as far as like first or third person shooters because I do like the RPG elements and stuff, and this has some of that, right? It has like all the research upgrade augments and stuff you can do, and the unlocks as you level, and then the prestiging to unlock, you know, little flavor of things over time. But it's they're few and far between of things I'm like, oh, this is awesome kind of feeling. So, and it's like lots of time in between. So I don't really have the drive to like play to grind. So I'm at like I did initially, you know, getting especially that first prestige, like getting through there, unlocking everything for the first time, all the different augments, all the different field upgrades, weapons, and so on. Unlocking skins for the weapons, which is a huge grind, especially for going past the gold one, like for the opals and the whatever. So I don't have much interest there because it's just too much time for me. Um, so it's come down to now, like I still enjoy playing, but it's strictly like if there's a group on, and most of the time it's going to be weekends. Um, so I, I'm not out, but I've definitely pulled back significantly. Um, because even though I mostly did play with people, like I'm not actively jumping on multiple days during the week to hop in with like one or two people, whoever's on, to play, you know, a round of 1 to 26 zombies or something. I'm just jumping on here, or I'll still jump in the party when I see people on, and I'll just be playing my own game or something, you know. So, uh, and then on the weekends I'll jump. Like we just did prop hunt over the weekend, which was pretty fun. It's not something I see myself playing a lot, but a one-off session here and there is not too bad, especially for the first like hour. After the first hour, it kind of loses its magic for me a little bit. Although, you know, there's still key moments that can happen that are hilarious, right? But as far as like just the general go around per round, kind of loses its magic for me after about the hour or like mark or so. Um, but I'm still down to jump into that here and there as well because it is fun, especially you know you get a drink or two going and just have a good time.
Lay on the floor as a watermelon.
I can't believe that. That's
That
crazy.
was so funny.
Yeah, so for context, I said I'd be right back, and then I went out for a smoke, and then I had to brush my kid's teeth, and then I came back, and you guys were in a game, so I hear voices like saying like loud on my headset on my couch, so I put it on. Turns out you guys started the match, and for that whole 5 minutes, I was a watermelon at the spawn point, and that's how we won because no one
We
found
were all dead, and you were just a watermelon sitting there, and the entire team was jumping over you.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
Yeah, like
so funny.
no, it's definitely a good call, Anthony. Like, don't over, don't overstay your welcome with it in the sense of like, don't play it more than you kind of desire, so you get like completely burnt out. Like even for me, like yeah, like prop hunt is, and like going back to prop hunt is a good time, but yeah, like I do like prop hunt as like maybe like once a month or something like that. We get together, the boys get together, have some drinks, just have some fun in it. But yeah, as for me, This quote unquote double XP weekend, that's like 1.34x double XP. It's not like it's questionable if it's double XP. I went up 2.5 prestiges. I'm prestige 935 right now. Getting close to that master prestige. I have 23 opal guns done. I have all the pistols, auto rifles, SMGs, marksman rifles, working on machine guns now. It's a fucking grind. And like the thing that sucks is I'm like, okay, when I get 33 weapons with opal, I have to go through all those weapons again, get the new camo for those, and then have to go through them all again to get the final camo for them. So it's yeah, it's definitely been like a grind, but I'm kind of looking forward to getting it done. The main draw I've been going so hard is I know with Rivals coming out next week, my attention would be split between those games. And I kind of made like a mental goal of like, there's no way I was catching up to Chad. That guy, like I'm pretty sure he's like about to hit Master Prestige. But like the first double XP weekend I didn't play at all because I was sick. And so like Mike got ahead of me. So like my goal was basically get caught up and surpass Mike, which currently I am. So I made a comeback. But yeah, so but yeah. I'm as much as I've been loving Call of Duty, I'm looking forward to the grind eventually being done. And I'm excited for the new zombie map coming up this week. Looking forward to that. Mark, what are your thoughts on Black Ops 6?
Honestly, it's a great game. Their developers are pieces of shit still in my mind, but the game's great. The game's been a lot of fun. I have seen a bunch of people like there's all this discourse on the Omni movement and people saying like how garbage it is, blah blah blah. I love the Omni movement. It's so much fun. I think it was a great ad. The gameplay is super fluid, and you want to know what? When somebody does a 360 double backflip, no scope out of a window, like what? Like okay, that just happened. But I play hardcore, so I can find them and shoot them once in their butt with a pistol, and they die just the same. So it's okay. For zombies, I do enjoy playing zombies with you guys, but like the solo zombie grind, maybe I'll play some stuff here and there just to get some experience. But like I've been enjoying the multiplayer more than anything, just throwing on the hardcore setting and then going until I hate my life, and then I stop, and then I'll wait a little bit, go back on. We'll begin the cycle anew. But yeah, like the prop hunt was it was so much fun. Yeah, just a great time to be had there. The online experience has been pretty good so far. Uh, the maps, there's only a few maps that I do not like playing on, but most of them are pretty good. And yeah, it's just it's been a great experience for a Call of Duty game. I've not played a single one for a while now. Yeah, it, for what it is, I do think this is probably one of the best ones they have released in a while, with just like the new mechanics and stuff like that they've introduced into the game, which has been a very fun experience.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The new mechanics, yeah, like the Omni movement. Even like when we were loading in the prop hunt and watching you guys all laying on the ground, just like
That
fucking
was freaking
having
hilarious.
sears and shit like that.
Yeah, actually drilling through the ground, you're spinning so fast.
John, what are your thoughts on Black Ops 6?
I'm kind of in the same spot as Anthony where I'm not playing so much like solo anymore. I'm playing whenever you guys are playing or whenever somebody like wants to play. Um I'm I'm done with like the grinding and stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm at a point in the battle pass where if like I play with you guys on the weekends or something, like I can get through it. Um yeah, with Final Fantasy 14, it's kind of consuming me now. So, yeah, that'll be like kind of like my back burner game where I play it when I don't have time to play Final Fantasy or whenever you guys are playing it. But yeah, otherwise I really like it. Like it's probably the Call of Duty that I've stuck with the longest. Usually I fall out of them a lot quicker because I'll like rage at a multiplayer match and um, yeah, I'll just stop playing. Um, but yeah, no, omnidirectional movement too. Like I think it's phenomenal. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's cool. Like you can dive backwards and shoot somebody, and you can like sprint backwards, which is awesome for like zombies and stuff. Otherwise, yeah. It's a back burner game now, so
Nothing wrong with that. It's always good to have like a game you can just throw into the rotation, kind of like freshen things up out of like the main game you're grinding. I think that's something that's fucking me right now is like it's just Call of Duty. So like I kind of need to get something in there to kind of like once I hit Prestige Master, I think that's when I'm gonna start chilling out and throwing in more Dragon Age time or something or Rivals time. But yeah, any final thoughts on 6 before we move on?
It's just to add on what you said. Like it is like for me, it is a game where like I'll just throw on throw it on. I'll play a few multiplayer games and like I don't feel the need to have to like I have to play 37 matches to get this. I just put on a few, have my fun with it, and then just go and do something else with my day. Just like I need to kill an hour. Let's just rage a little bit. Let's get into the easy lobby for my first match. I will destroy everything, and then let's get my shit rocked for the next 45 minutes, and then I'll just go do something else.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like honestly, like the Nebula camo is what's kind of like pushing me a lot. Is just being able to flex that off. I remember when Cold War, I went hard to get like the Dark Aether, that purple animated one, and just to flex it off. And I think that's what's keeping me going with the big grind. Next up, we got Shoot the Shit. So this is where we just kind of talk about what we've been thinking about gaming wise or gaming adjacent or even just like movies, TV shows. I'm gonna throw it to you, Mark, since you were just talking. What's been on your mind lately?
Well, lately I have been doing. I just started a rewatch of the Marvel's Infinity Saga, and geez, I just think back like seeing those movies in theaters 27,000 years ago, and like, goddamn, a lot of them still hold up pretty good. It's like I watching the first Iron Man movie, like the one that really kicked it off, and it's like they all hold up. They all hold up really well. I've been really enjoying going through the old movies. I actually just finished watching the first Guardians of the Galaxy before hopping in here. And like I remember watching that one first time in theaters. I think I was with you and I think a couple of the other guys. And like, goddamn, was that movie great? Just I still remember the feeling of leaving the theater and like just feeling satisfied with that movie going experience. Yeah, that was I'm going to try and work through all of those as much as possible. Yeah, just what a great cinematic experiences they were. I know some people like always shit on those movies for, oh, they're not real movies, they're not blah blah blah. I'm like it's entertaining. Shut up.
They're fucking fun times. And like to be fair, like you said, Guardians, I still put that up there as a film. That is a top notch film. Like the Guardians
Oh yeah.
trilogy, like those are so well done in all aspects.
Also, first Thor movie, great. If they just deleted the other ones and started from scratch, I'd be happy with that.
I'm trying to think. Were you doing a specific order for like are you doing like the linear or are you doing
Yeah, I went into Disney Plus and I just go into their MCU timeline section and I'm just watching like as they should be in their chronological order, not as released in their chronological.
it's a simple thing, but like props to Disney Plus for having that. Taking
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
all the work out of it for you and you're like, I can just go into the next
Well,
movie.
yeah, I mean, like they know how they're going to sell more subscriptions, and making it easier for people to sit there and watch, like, how many hours is that saga? Like, just so many.
Anthony, what's been on your mind lately?
Yeah, so not too long ago, like maybe a month, or maybe just over a month, I went back to Netflix, canceled my Crave, and I had this friend, he kept telling me to watch this show, Cobra Kai. Well, I started it, and I'm almost done season 5. It is fucking so good, dude. The first season, it was like I watched it when it came out, and I was like, "Oh, that was cool." But then there was more, and I was like, I don't I don't know. I just didn't have the drive to go back. And then now that I've started it, it's like, keep in mind, I've only ever seen the first Karate Kid movie, so I haven't seen the other ones. But like, to keep it kind of spoiler free, like all the Karate Kid movies seem to be relevant to this entire series, which is really cool. Um, and I was just thinking to myself, like the fact that like they just happen to all still be alive, you know? Like it's just so serendipitous, you know? Like I don't know, maybe for all I'm not familiar. Maybe they're not the same people, but most of them seem like they are. Um, but what you told me, Chris, about it's like literally like an anime, like it literally is like 100%. And where I'm at now, it's like the quality of the fights just get better and better, especially with the recurring characters from season to season. When you're talking like the kids and stuff, because they're only getting older, and you got to imagine like with them knowing they're doing more and more seasons, like they're probably spending more time training. And I'm assuming coming into the show, they probably had some sort of martial arts background. So like just the fact that like you can see the quality get better and better is really cool. Um, and it's like at first, I thought it was kind of annoying because, like, spoiler free. It's kind of like it's like it makes me think of that scene from The Office when Michael got a vasectomy, but then he got it reversed, and then he got it again, and he's like snip, snap, snip, you know what I mean? That's a huge aspect of this show. That's all I can like. If you know, you know.
Oh, I know. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's one of the things I fucking love about it.
And at first, I would get annoyed, but then the way it's done is so well written that it's like it makes sense most of the time, and it's like it's acted well, and just like the rivalries and stuff, and it's just like they just keep one upping itself, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and that's what I like about it. So I don't know what I have to look forward to in season 6, but I'm not too far off from there. So
You just you wait.
I'm
Just you
almost there. I
wait.
think I'm on like episode 8 of season 5, and they seem to be around 10 episode seasons, so I should be pretty close.
I was so like taken aback when you finally started watching it because I've said it like many times. I'm like,
Yeah, I
dude,
know.
watch it. And the same thing happened with Sean. He finally hit a point where he started watching it. Although he hasn't seen the latest season or the latest half of the season, but yeah, like no, like I'm glad you agree. Like it is literally like an anime and just like live action, like. And
Yeah.
to what you said too, as somebody who's watched the Karate Kid movies, who like grew up with them, I think they do a really good job of these legacy characters. And to follow up on what you said, they are all the actors and actresses who were in them. Like
Okay. Yeah.
everybody's been brought back. They like whoever like if it's a character from that like one of the movies, that's the person who played them. But
That's awesome.
they do a great job of like catching you up if you haven't seen the movies. I think that's
Yeah,
something.
with like the
Yeah,
different clips that they
yeah.
they siphon in and stuff, and they do it so tastefully. Like there's early in one of the earlier seasons, there's like it might have been at a tournament. I can't remember what was exactly going on. There was a fight going on, and like mid fight, it was like it would cut to like a scene from a fight happening in one of the Karate Kid movies, and it would cut back, and then it would cut back to, you know what I mean? It was like just really well done, and just the way they do it, man, is I'm impressed. And the great thing too is like I know the earlier seasons, I don't know how many weren't Netflix, but I'm assuming I'm into the Netflix made stuff right now, and it's all been really good, and it's just refreshing because when I left Netflix, like I don't know, it might have been a couple years ago now, a lot of the shows they were putting out just were subpar, you know. So I'm glad it's in. I'm like, we won't get into it unless one of you guys bring it up. But like, I just watched Arcane, which is Netflix, top tier, and then now I'm watching Karate Kid. So it's like they're putting out quality shit, which is I love to see it because I was losing hope at one point, especially when we were talking like The Witcher content. Like, you know, they turned it around. It seems like, which is great.
Yeah, no, they've had some really quality stuff, like Edge Runners as well.
Yeah, I
But
still
yeah,
gotta
for a
watch
while
that.
it was like Stranger Things was their thing. Like that was like their standout thing.
Yeah.
But like now, like they are definitely getting more stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like this is like a super like minor spoiler, but I think this is a testament to like the fans. Or so I remember listening to a podcast that was talking about it. The writers for Cobra Kai, basically, to them, Karate Kid was their Star Wars. That's why like there's so much like love and references like put into it. It's because like they grew up with these movies. But like the way they do things sometimes is so fucking. And so I think it was like in the first season, um, in the first movie when Daniel Larusso like is injured, they don't know if he's gonna fight, right? He's then he goes to fight, and somebody goes up to the announcer, whispers in his ear, and then you see him go, "Daniel Larusso's gonna fight. Daniel Larusso's gonna fight." They bring that back in the show where like basically the guy's just standing there. Somebody walks up, whispers in his ear, Daniel LaRusso's gonna coach? Daniel LaRusso's gonna coach. It's like the stupidest thing ever, but it's like it's such a good homage to like what came before it, and it's things like that that are just really, really awesome. And the characters are that I think the big testament to the show is like a lot of times it's like the legacy characters are what you're watching it for, but the new characters, the kids, a lot of them are really fun to watch. Like Hawk and Miguel are two of my favorite characters from the show. Like they're
Oh yeah,
fucking so
even
fun to watch.
fucking Dimitri
Oh,
lately, man. Oh, and Stingray, come on, dude.
Stingray. Oh man.
I really so that's another thing that attests to like the quality of the writing, man. Like they managed to have me really like Eli, to really disliking Hawk, to really liking Hawk. Like it the way the that's an example, like without spoilers, that's a reference to like the vasectomy thing I said with the snip snap snip. Like they have this way of writing it where they can actually tangibly make you like and then hate and then like and then hate somebody in the show. And it's done logically and like strategically. Like it's not like, you know, great example, Game of Thrones, where the way they ended that, you know, like that was just so abrupt and sudden. I know people argue that you could see the signs. It's like, okay, well, I don't agree with that, and it was very abrupt. And anyways, point is, the way they do it, it's believable, you know. And there's probably some moments, like there's one recently where there was a change that was had a little abruptness to it. But that was really the only one I could think of so far, and I'm 5 seasons in, where it didn't it felt a bit out of place. But even not enough for me to be completely taken out of it, just kind of like, oh, okay, kind of thing, you know? Not like, wow, this is the worst ending to a series that exists, kind of thing. Game of Thrones, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah. Like,
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm probably gonna be finished. It'll be finished this week for sure, or caught up. I mean,
yeah, I can't. I've been like, I haven't like every time you like bring it up, I'm like, I've just been holding my tongue because like I don't want to say any hints at like possible things. So like once you're fully caught up, like there's a lot of things I can't wait to talk to you about. But yeah,
yeah,
the new season, fucking see
can't
wait.
wait.
All right, Sean, what's been on your mind this week or this month?
I did surprisingly the same thing that Anthony did, and I haven't had Netflix in so long. But you guys were talking about Arcane and how great of a show it was, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cancel a couple things and get Netflix. I'm kind of glad I did, yeah, because I'm only on the first season of Arcane. I'm maybe a third of the way through the first season, and I'm really digging it. But I want to talk about how it almost made me a League of Legends player, and I don't want to do that. So I had a very brief interaction with League of Legends. I downloaded the game, I signed up, and I started playing it. Um, gameplay fun at first. I kind of I did all the bot stuff. Like there's like bot training stuff at the beginning, and that was cool. I was like, wow, I could really get into this. And then I got into my first player match, and my entire team, almost my entire team, left. Um, it was about 3 people that left, and I was stuck with one other person who I don't know if they were like just somebody also trying out League of Legends for the first time, possibly. But they were like walking into walls and like just not attacking the opposite team, and uh, I'd say maybe it was about a half an hour of gameplay for me, and I stopped playing and I uninstalled it pretty quickly. Um, also, this is extremely difficult. Like, this is not a dungeon. This is extremely difficult to get through while I'm talking. Um, but yeah, League of Legends, I don't recommend it. Apparently it starts to suck the life out of you. Um, I won't let it do that to me. Um, I don't know what else to say about it. Um,
I remember playing League of Legends way back in the day, and like I had a decent time with it, but like I didn't understand any of the builds, and I was playing with a friend at the time who did know that. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play as this character. He's like, okay, so the first piece of equipment you're gonna get is this, then you're gonna do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, they have a this on their team, so you want to make sure you get this, this, and this. I'm like, I will only ever play this game with you because there's no way I'm learning 30 different characters, everything's to know what specific piece of gear I have to get. Like that is ridiculous. And like I just like walking in with my little tiny mage guy and throwing freaking magic balls at people. Like I'm good with that. Not a game I ever wanted to play by myself.
definitely not. It's the devil, quite possibly. Quite possibly. No,
The
yeah.
show though, the show was
Yeah,
great.
the show's good. The
Really
show's really
enjoyed
good.
the show.
I started talking about the show and I had to lead into that. But yeah, the show is good and it's cool. I like the music. I don't like Imagine Dragons, but I like the theme song. Somehow it just makes the theme song better somehow. So yeah, it's good. I'm gonna continue watching it. I'm gonna get all the way through it. Apparently, it's only going to be 2 seasons. There's not going to be any more. If they do come out with something else, it's obviously going to be based around like different characters. There's a million characters in League of Legends, so it's pretty easy to do. But yeah, highly recommend. Very highly.
Did you guys want to say anything about Arcane before I go to like what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking
so
about?
I think we had this discussion in the group chat before, and like I just laugh at like where the train of things that happened for Arcane to be made is just so funny. So like I did look more into it, and like it's debated on the start, but I'm pretty sure it started from the StarCraft custom games thing, like freaking way back in the day. I can't remember what it was called, but then that game mode in like the StarCraft custom lobby inspired Dota, and then somebody made a Dota thing in Warcraft, and somebody played the Dota one in Warcraft and liked it so much that they started League of Legends. And then after the League of Legends started, the show was inspired by the character Jinx, which is a DLC character later in the lifespan of League of Legends. I'm pretty sure when I played it, Jinx wasn't even there. But just like this whole series came from somebody way back in the day just making a custom game mode in a game that was not even remotely League of Legends adjacent, but they just were very good at modding the customization of the maps, that it led into this giant train of things throughout the years that eventually led us to this show. Which is, I just had that thought process, and I thought it was very funny, like how the origins of this happened just because somebody on a whim decided to make this random game mode that inspired somebody to make a game that inspired somebody to make a game mode in another game of that game, which then inspired somebody to make that another game. Yeah, it's just a long list of just happenstances, and then we were left with this masterpiece of a show that I very much enjoyed.
How about you, Anthony?
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
Yeah, dude, John, if you haven't seen season 2 yet, I definitely recommend getting there because it's season 1 was great, but season 2 it was like insane. Like probably one of my like if I were to rank like my top 5 like Western animated shows, like modern day stuff, like so not talking like 90s kind of stuff, it would be in there because I was just every episode I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was the art style and everything was phenomenal. It's also, I think, one of the first shows in a really long time where the entire season scored over a 9 on for one of the reviewers. I think it was Rotten Tomatoes. Every
Oh,
single episode of that season was over a 9.
I could see why, man. Every episode, like, no, that's what I like about the modern day model with a lot of the shows, like even actual anime, is like they do it in such a way that like there's no filler, like it's all story, everything up front. And this doesn't. This does exactly that. And yeah, I can't really say much else without spoilers, but really good.
One other thing, I forgot to bring this up when you guys were talking about Cobra Kai. You said that you like the show because like it was like watching an anime, but it's like real life. There's a movie, I think I've talked to you about it before. It's called Blade of the Immortal. Came out in 2017, and like I didn't even know that this was based off of a manga before I watched it. And like I remember watching like this looks like an anime, but it's all like real life. And it's like you'll go like the character will be going through a town, and then all of a sudden this chick with bright blonde hair will be walking by, and a sea of people with black hair. And it's just like, oh, I wonder if they're going to be somewhat plot relevant at some point.
Yeah, it's
Another guy will come in with like a freaking crazy hairdo.
it's got 87% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It,
Like,
it was phenomenal. I enjoyed it very much. If you like live action stuff, like in the style of like an anime, I think you'll
yeah,
really enjoy that movie. I have a physical copy if you ever want to borrow it.
yeah, I did. I mean, I don't. I think they had more. I watched up to what was out at the time. I never went back to finish it. But there's a show called Into the Badlands. I think it's Western made, but like the combat style they do in it is very like Japanese style, like bungee cords and stuff like that. Really good show. It actually has
Nick Frost was in that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He was great in that too. It was crazy because he's doing like all this kung fu shit, but he's like a big round guy, right? So killed it though.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
I'm probably gonna check out this movie, to be honest.
It's funny going back to what you said, Mark, about like looking on like what influenced to get to like this point of like what influenced League, then what influenced League getting to Arcane. It's like going back to Cobra Kai. It's like I think it is 100% safe to say like if How I Met Your Mother didn't pitch the what if Johnny was the good guy and Daniel was the bad guy thing, like the basis of how the show starts, like Cobra Kai wouldn't be a thing. Like it's
Yeah.
funny to see like those influences like spawn these things.
Some writer in the room's like, well, what if Barney's really obsessed with this, but likes the other guy? He thinks the other guy is the true Karate Kid. Yeah, just and then all of a sudden people just took that and run like, well, remember the movie Machete?
Oh, yep, yeah,
Yeah, with Danny Trejo. That was a made up trailer in another movie
definitely
that people
Grindhouse.
liked so much that they made into a movie. It was never supposed to be anything, but people were like, I want to see that actually made. And so much support was put behind it, they made the movie. And it was really good.
Oh, yeah, it's always funny to see like where things stem from and like how you get to that point. Yeah, as for me, Rivals has been on my mind. They just announced recently 5 more characters who will be there at launch. Wolverine, Cloak and Dagger, Black Widow, and Iron Fist. So
Nice.
Sean's gonna be very happy. He's got his boy. And then today I actually went to the movies. I caught up with my mom. We went and saw the Wicked movie for the like the prequel, like based off the play or the musical for Wizard of Oz. Honestly, that it's like looking at that, and if you like think back to like the Wizard of Oz movie and like in terms of visuals, it is insane where we've come to a point
Oh yeah.
of how things can look. Because like it's stunning to look at. Like visually, it's like super impressive, and it was like
Let's
a
just
fun
say
time.
they used asbestos as snow in the original Wizard of Oz. So I mean, yeah, they've definitely come a long way.
And I think they used lead paint on
Yes.
the Wicked Witch. Yeah, like a lot of things are not up to code for like a lot of yeah.
Listen, you want to be an actress? We're putting some paint on you.
But yeah, those are pretty much the only things that have been on my mind. I'm looking forward to Rivals, and that movie was a fun time. I could see it being a good movie for John, Anthony, for you guys to take kids to. It's a long movie though. It was like 2.5 hours, and it's a part 1. There's gonna be a second part, so it's just like it's
Oh, shit.
Jeez.
like I'm assuming like part 2 they're going to incorporate what happens in Wizard of Oz as well to kind of make it make sense why it's so long. But all right, final topic. This is kind of influenced based off the Game Awards because it's been a very controversial thing going around of people being like DLC shouldn't be a part of like Game of the Year conversation. So yeah, the final question or like final topic is should DLCs be included as Game of the Year options for award shows? So before I start throwing it to you guys, the next podcast we do that'll release in January, the final topic is going to be our top 5 games of the year. Obviously, a lot of us, like some of us, don't always play a lot of games, so like DLCs are welcome to be a part of those top 5s to help you like fill the list if you need it, or if you feel it deserves to be there. This is more so focused on the idea of award shows and like should it be included in like the Game of the Year conversation. I'll go first just to kind of start it off. I don't think it should. I think DLCs deserve to have their own category. They deserve to be recognized, but when you're talking about Game of the Year, I feel like I like the idea of like it I don't necessarily like the idea of like say a game double dipping. Like as much as I like Elden Ring, I don't like the idea of it like getting it twice, like if it ends up getting it this year. when there are other games that I feel like should get the recognition. I'm not like these other people who are like absolutely enraged. Like it's in there, like whatever. But just in my personal opinion, I don't think it should be included in that conversation, and it should have its own conversation. Especially this year has been really good for DLCs. We had Shadow of the Earth Tree, we had Final Shape. Like it's been a solid year. Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree with you 100%. There should be their own category for it because DLCs are getting so big and the scope of them are so large now. Like it makes sense to honor the work that was put into it, but it absolutely should not be in its own game title, with only one exception. If they make it and then put an Elden Ring 2 beside it and it's completely standalone game, yes, then that DLC, which is its own thing, sure, I'll allow that in there. But like as you're saying, like Elden Ring was a phenomenal game. Great game. It definitely deserves the accolades it got. But this is a new year. It was not released this year. It shouldn't be up for grabs again of Game of the Year for 2024. That is stupid. DLC of 2024, that makes sense because like as you're saying, like we had that one, Final Shape. Like there's enough in that category now where you can have like a fair competition going towards that. Where like it's like okay, yeah, these guys crushed it again, but like their game was not 2024. Just because you release a new patch doesn't mean your game is now in the 2024 category. It doesn't make sense. As you say, we had another year just stocked full of games that you can pick from, like Wukong, Metaphor. Honestly, I'm going to even say Space Marine as a place to talk in there. Wait, Helldivers came out. Yeah, Helldivers 2 came out this year. It's obviously had its controversy after release, but the initial release of that game, I stand by because that game was super fun. I've actually been considering going back and playing it because things have been like, from what I'm seeing, like they've leveled out a lot of the kinks that have happened, and they've re-upped a lot of weapons. But yeah, like there's been so many good games this year. Look, why are we including a masterpiece from a year prior just because they released more content for it? Their own category, 100%. I'm fully behind that. I will support that. Letting it compete with its prior accolades, because giving it a game of the year isn't going to just be considering the DLC content. It's considering like the Shadow of the Erd Tree is the best example here. It's not just considering what Shadow of the Erd Tree was, it's considering Elden Ring as a whole with Shadow of the Erd Tree. It's not a fair fight for these other games where like they just came out this year, but this masterpiece of last year, because like let's say Baldur's Gate released a big DLC every single year. Like, should we consider, because like that game for me, that's perfect. It would win every single year. Like we shouldn't be letting these games come in and just release a DLC and then winning another game of the year when it's not even their year of release. Doesn't make sense. Should be its own category for sure.
Very well said. Very well. Yeah, like echo the thoughts of that too. It's like there are, like you said, there are a lot of other games that could have easily taken that spot. And even for me, like I didn't vibe with Helldivers, but I could respect it being there in that category. Space Marine, I could definitely respect being in that category. Like it was a really solid year. I can't remember if Stellar Blade was one of the ones nominated, but
oh
like,
yeah, shit, Stellar Blade.
yeah.
There we go.
But like
Another
solid,
phenomenal game.
So
It got nominated for one thing, but it was, I forget what it was. Maybe it was music.
Oh, music, nice. I
Yeah.
mean, it did have a good soundtrack, but yeah, again, like look at these games that They could have got their flowers, but didn't, right? Like with like the nomination. Anthony, like, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there was a hint at how much of a joke this award show is last year. I don't know if you recall. Best ongoing game. The nominees were Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, and Cyberpunk 2077. The winner, Cyberpunk 2077, a single player game with a DLC, won best ongoing game. Okay, now let me read you directly from the Game Awards FAQ page. Question: are DLCs, expansion packs, and remakes and remasters eligible? Answer: the Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical work each year, irrespective of the format of that content's release. This is the part I need you to hear. Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLCs, remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories. So after that, this entire thing just became a joke to me. Like, you could argue the other categories, like music, right? The DLC still has probably new music made for it. That's understandable. But like the one in question is one you're talking about, the game of the year. This makes no sense, especially with what I understand. I have never played Elden Ring, but what I understand to be a factual about this is you have to play a significant amount of the game just to access it. Like the only one, there's probably other ones, but the only one that comes to mind that could even be hoped to be considered in this vein, which it probably wouldn't because of quality perspective. Like, but Dying Light 2: The Beast is a standalone game, but it's like its own, like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a DLC, but it's completely standalone. It's a different separate from the
It's
whole
like
game.
Miles Morales. Yeah, it's
Yes,
it's like
yes,
that.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a complete joke. I won't go, like, you guys already mentioned tons of things that should have been on that list in that place or could have. Um, and then I don't know. This is where a personal opinion comes into play, but you look at like how the vote is split 90% the selected jury, 10% us. So it means we have no power. The only power we have is if two things are very close in voting between the jury, we have the power to tip one into the lead. That's the only thing we could ever do. If we all unison voted for like the same thing. But then when you look at the jury, some of them aren't even related to gaming in any form. So it's like, how do they why are we looking at the opinion of people that, like, yeah, sure, they might be gamers in their personal life, but like professional, like, you're selecting a jury that's supposed to be like on the more professional level of this industry, and like they have no connection to gaming whatsoever in their professional lives. Then there's questionable venues to me, in my opinion, that are on there as well. I won't get into that part, but I just think like the whole awards aspect of this, the game awards, is officially a complete joke to me now. Especially like coming out of last year was kind of like, we had that whole issue with like Kojima getting 20 minutes to talk about his new games, but then the award people getting cut off after 30 seconds when they're accepting their awards. And it's like, it was like, hurry up, let's get it. Oh, it's like, let's get this award out of the way so we can get back to the real reason we're here. And it's like, that became so relevant last year. I know he addressed it by saying, like, that wasn't his intention. It was following that one year where the voice actor that won did like an 8-minute speech or something. But it was an overcorrection. Okay. It's like, but it kind of showed the true colors a little bit. But after seeing like the news about this, to me, the whole award aspect is now a complete joke to me, in my opinion. I'm still going to watch it because I'm going to watch it for what it actually is for. It's not a Game Awards show. It's
The
a
showcase.
showcase. Yeah, it's a showcase. It's not an award show. It's
It's a
a
showcase with trophies.
yeah. So I still went and voted, but like I wasn't. My heart wasn't in it because like I'm like what I'm doing literally doesn't matter. I'm just gonna, yeah, they're like fucking ridiculous. I
Oh,
heard there's rumors of another who was it? It was Colin. He was mentioning I don't know who he was. He was mentioning someone like trying to kick off his own award show that was funded in a different way. I can't remember how, but I'm interested to look into what that is.
I remember hearing about it when it was first announced, because Colin was on one of his podcasts. I was hesitant. I don't know if it's changed. I was hesitant about the concept because the concept was basically to vote. You had to subscribe to be a member of like the award show, like so it's like
Okay.
you had to pay like a
So
yearly
it's like fan
fee.
funded.
Yeah, so like fan funded, but like I don't know. It seems kind of questionable to me. I don't know if he's. It was in the early phases of him like setting it up, so I don't know if he adjusted it. But yeah, that kind of felt a little like
Yeah, I don't
iffy to
think,
me.
in my opinion, I don't think that'll work out. Like, I don't think he'll get enough people to make it financially viable, and the voting would be, I don't know. Yeah, that does change my interest a little bit in that. But as far as the actual, you know, the did you hear about how he was trying to trademark the Game Awards, like the Game Awards? So like anyone out there that wanted to do their own thing, you couldn't use the phrase the Game Awards. Like I don't think he's gonna get it, Jeff Keighley. I don't think he's gonna get it, but it's just funny to me. This
That
whole thing
reminds
is
me
a
of
joke.
like Paris Hilton, where she wanted to like copyright "That's Hot."
Yeah.
Or Donald Trump trying to copyright "You're Fired."
Oh. I mean, you know what? I'd be for that because then people can't fire people. It's just like it'd be
Well, and
more.
it can still let you go.
Oh yeah, true. That's true.
We
Like,
got we were going to part ways at this juncture. There's so many ways to.
But yeah, like the best. That is a good example too, Anthony. Like the best ongoing game thing, because again, it's like when Cyberpunk
what
was in
was
there, it
this
was
year's
like what the fuck? Because like Destiny wasn't even nominated that year, so it's like there's a game that could have easily fit that spot that actually made sense in that category. It's like it's it's so flawed. But John,
Yeah,
what are
see,
you,
again, sorry, real quick. This year's, it's the same thing. 4 makes sense. Fortnite, Helldivers 2, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14. Oh, no, I guess, never mind. I'll take it back. It's Diablo 4. The reason I take it back is because they do have the seasonal structure along with DLCs. I forgot about the seasons. I forgot because that game was so trash to me when I put it
Yeah,
down.
we just had such a bad experience with it. We just washed it from our heads.
Yeah, that one makes sense. I won't rip on that one.
yeah,
But
because they had the expansion too a couple months ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
hatred. Yeah.
But yeah, John, what are your thoughts on this topic? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, you are muted.
Oh, I was muted. Yeah. Um, I was saying it's hard for me to say anything that hasn't already been said. I do fully agree with you guys. It should not be able to be a game of the year type thing, whereas it should just be categorized under DLC of the year. That's it. Just have DLC of the year, game of the year, have
Yeah.
ongoing game. Ongoing game should be, I think Anthony mentioned, it should just be like games that are like service games
Ongoing?
or MMOs or anything. You know what I mean?
Like, is
Because at this point, why isn't Skyrim nominated? Because that game
Yes.
gets released every single
It's-
fucking year.
that's the thing.
I-
It's a great
If
game.
if they
but-
dilute it to like a game, I know I understand a game comes out and then they spend time on the DLC and it comes out, so like it's ongoing. If they dilute it to that, every game is ongoing because almost every game gets DLC or some form of additional
Maybe,
content.
maybe,
You know?
maybe it's just like games that Jeff Keighley plays. So anything could be like best ongoing game because Jeff Keighley's still
like-
playing it.
Because that's the thing, like after Phantom Liberty, that's it. So how is it ongoing if it ended? You know what I mean? It ended.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure, best ongoing game.
Yeah,
Is that game out yet?
I hope so. I'm gonna play the shit.
It
out of
is best ongoing game.
That game deserves its flowers.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like big announcement. Or Cyberpunk's shutting down. Servers are going offline. It's over. It's done. And they're like, here's the last additional content. Have fun. You can continue to play this for the rest of your life because it's a single player experience. Meanwhile, like something like Genshin Impact, something like Final Fantasy 14, like the servers go down, it's over, it's done.
That's significant.
It's
Yeah.
ongoing. Like it's literally the definition of ongoing. Like I don't. Anyways, now we're just going off the rails.
I mean, like it also goes into like kind of like how a lot of these companies is specifically like, well, like you're saying, like it's 90% like their own people and then 10% the people who actually play the games for voting for this thing, with the people only being like the tiebreaker vote sort of deal. Like it just kind of goes into the same thing of like how a lot of these game companies review games this year. Like let's look at how bad IGN's reviews have been for a lot of games this
You
year that turned out to be freaking super good. Like IGN blasted Space Marine 2. Blasted it. This game was amazing. I actually do want to start playing it again at some point. And I want to get your money's worth for you
Oh
there,
yeah,
Chris.
Honestly, like
But yeah, it's just
game
like, why are
industry,
these people in charge?
the game industry has become much like the movie industry or like
yeah.
any
Yeah.
industry for that matter, that it's just so corrupt and so like watered down at this point where it's like anybody could say anything and it's true. So yeah, it's game of the year. It's this DLC's game of the year. Fuck it.
Yeah. My favorite thing that I kind of learned, not recently, but I've known for a little while, is the mutual podcast Chris and I listen to, Sacred Symbols, the host Colin. A thing he does when he looks into things about games is he looks at like the percentages of trophies earned for the game, because you can actually see based on the people who bought the game how many of them are actually playing through it. So you just look for like typical trophies. You know, like say that the game does chapters, 10 chapters. You can see like what percent has the chapter 1 trophy, chapter 2, and you can see the fall off on certain games. Like I forget what the recent example he was looking at, but he was saying how, oh,
They go
Horizon Star
Verizon.
Wars. Yeah. He was saying it was like he got to like the several 4 or 5 hours in, and whatever chapter that was, only like 30% of the player base had it, meaning like people were falling off hard from that game. So it's when I see a high review from IGN, I kind of want to just look up the trophy. Well, you have to wait a little bit, obviously, like a couple weeks from the release, because you got to give people time to play through it. But just a fun little thing you can do to see if the reviews are actually like in line with what people think, or if access journalism, like that whole debacle about what was it, Ubisoft? Who was it? They went to like Disneyland or Universal Studios or some shit. Like they took all the journalists there to
Well,
like a
I
theme
think it
park.
was Ubisoft. They took them to Disneyland for the Star Wars game.
Outlaws.
Yeah, I believe that
Okay.
would make sense to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Or then Dragon Age, the Veilguard. We had another person Chris and I know or listen to, Mr. Matty Plays. He was not even very negative, I don't think, on his preview that he had of the game. He was like cautiously optimistic or something, and because he didn't rave about it, they didn't send him a code for the game. Like they cherry picked who they sent the codes to, um, and we could see why, because the reviews were like, didn't it settle in the low 70s? Actually, I don't even remember now.
Honestly, it was like 75 around there.
Okay.
But
For a game that you kind of would expected a game of that caliber to end up, probably low 80s at minimum, based off the reception of the previews, anyways. Because a lot of them were, you know, good to great. But it turned out they took all the, what was it? Mr. Matt, yeah, he was saying they took all the best shit from the entire game and put it all into like that 7-hour preview. Because then when he played the full game, uh, it was like the best shit, but spread over 40 hours, in his opinion.
yeah, it was like they did like highlights. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like say like Metaphor where you had like that prologue and you could play just like that 8 hours. It was like, okay, here's like first part of Act 1. Here's like the second, here's like an hour later in Act 1. Then here's like 2 hours later in Act 1, and then like it was just like it went all the way to the point I think it bled into Act 2, where like it was like a weirdly curated preview, which is never a good sign. At least knowing now for sure. But yeah, even to what Anthony you brought up with like the trophy completions, I think that was like I can't remember the exact percentage, but I remember people were talking about like they're like, oh, like the Final Fantasy Rebirth sales were like disappointing when compared to like say remake itself on like PS4 and all that, but like obviously PS4 had a bigger install base. And if I remember correctly, when you look at the percentage, I think it had like a small percentage of people who actually even like completed it. Like not like 5%, but I think it was like 15-20%. Because I remember Colin mentioning that there actually wasn't like a significant amount of people who played it. Unfortunately, like it's so far down on my trophy list.
Well, I think the key there too with Rebirth is like for like let's say the main campaign final trophy didn't you guys say like to get even if you beelined it through that you're still looking at like 80 hours or something crazy or something like that? Like if you beeline it through the story on that game, how long till you finish it?
Oh,
wasn't it like quite a while?
I think somebody said you could get it within like 40 hours. But I'm more so talking about like remake that like that game
remake,
itself.
sorry.
Like not a lot of people actually saw that through.
Saw it through. Yeah, I was one of them, unfortunately.
But yeah, I was just like looking at a couple games on the trophy list. Like what's crazy is like game like Spider-Man 2. I think they said it sold 10 million at this point. 16% of the people have platinumed it, and 36% have finished it. It's like that's a pretty solid number and all that.
Yeah. And I'm one of them for that too.
Damn right. All right. Any final thoughts before we close off the podcast? We're all good?
From this guy.
All right. This has been another successful episode of the Guy Pie Podcast. I'm Chris. That's Mark.
Bye-bye.
Anthony.
See ya.
And John.
This is for you, Chris.
Something was supposed to happen.
He blew a kiss.
His character blew you a kiss.
Oh, so I because John, like in the window, if I have the game full screen, you're literally like that small. So I have it zoomed out where like you take up 1/4 of the box. So like your character's head is cut off right now. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like
Well,
you're
yeah.
yeah, like if I had it like the regular size, like you're like
My
we're like
headset
so
died.
tiny.
Oh, jeez.
All right. That's a way.